Welcome to another episode of Pop Culture. Hello? What's happening?
I don't know, are you hearing this?
What are you saying?
I don't know. Samantha,
What's going on? Is it
are
Bonnie?
you talking to Samantha?
It's Bonnie.
We have to interrupt your regular scheduled programming to read a special report proudly brought to you by us, Pop Culture, and YouTube for Good. So, we're joining the conversation.
What hashtag? It's very important.
I'm about to tell them. We're
Yeah.
joining the conversation for hashtag IChooseToSee. With the topic that we've chosen, which is I choose to see a body positive African girl. So growing up, I think I kind of felt like I was always dictated to about what I needed to know about my body. There was never an environment that was like, Uma was always like, this is what is going to happen, and you should be ready for this thing, and definitely cool when it happens, this is what it means. Done. So it was never like a...
In relation to what? Like your period or
In relation
body
to most of things. Like it was like, okay, cool. I wasn't a small girl, so I was always chubby. There was always moves happening somewhere.
You call them moves?
Yeah.
Okay.
I call them moves because I was like, what are these?
Okay.
You know, because they're not boobs. They're weird. Anyway, seriously. It was, Uma was always gonna be like, okay, cool. So when you grow up, you're gonna get hips, and then your boobs gonna grow, and then there'll be pubic hair, and then this will happen, and then it'll grow on your armpits as well, and then cool. So I never felt like I could go back and be like, okay, so when they're growing, and then this also happens, like, is this a thing? Is this bad? Is it good? Because it was just like, you've received the knowledge, this is it.
Yeah.
So it never allowed, or maybe
it wasn't an open conversation.
Exactly. Maybe it might also have been my fault, but it never was insinuated that we can revisit this topic.
No, but I feel like that's also, you know, some like things that are, you know, like there's those conversations where it's like, zizinto zabantu, what's it? Zizinto for abantu abadala.
Right.
Some of the conversations. And like I know for me, when it comes to things like my period and definitely sex conversations, it was never anything that I felt like I could sit down with my mom and be like, Mom, you know, I remember I told her when I got my period, right? And it was like, okay, cool, like you were saying, that's what you need to do, hands, that's how you put it on your underwear, boom, done. And like you're saying, I never felt like I could go back. Since conversations, my mom had like a set of cassettes. And like when I was going to the things, it would always be like the cassettes.
I told
Go find the topic
with
the cassettes.
Why aren't you using the thing?
So I really just feel like, generally speaking though, I feel like it is definitely, I don't know that, you know, young people and sometimes even more specifically black people, these conversations are not really open in that way where you feel like you can sit down with your mom. I feel like I learned a lot of stuff that related to my period and my body through school and through friends.
Okay, we've been part of the initiative of like kind of doing this campaign, which is kind of in partnership with the Breast, which
You guys have probably seen it.
maybe.
Hashtag #varsity, sign up now.
So the whole idea behind it was kind of just making sure females are empowering themselves, learning about their vaginas, and knowing that each person's vagina is unique. It's not the same. It does different things at different times, and that, you know, you are having a different and unique experience every day with your own vagina. So in the same sense, this is why I feel when your parents is like, this is what vaginas do, there's a universal vele thing that happens. Yes, they're going to bleed, there's going to be whatever, but it's not going to happen in the same, you know, like how you'll have light, heavy, medium flow, because it's not the same. I just feel like it's dangerous to learn from peers and school only. The danger is when you only have conversations with your friends, or when you only speak about it at school, and that home is not a place that you can speak about anything, which should be what I think the place and the center exactly of being able to speak just about anything.
Yeah.
It's all great and well that there is another platform for you to speak about things, like maybe if you're watching YouTube videos and it's like, oh my god, okay, cool, I'm getting information. But Ekaya needs to be the other place where you actually get to bounce off these, Mom, what do you think? I heard this. And your mom or your father should be either denouncing things that are either a stereotype or a lie or a myth, also that just because what happens, how you also get like, you know,
misinformed. Yeah.
Exactly. Is through, because everyone keeps saying the same thing, which might not even be true. And if umzali is also not trying to educate themselves, which is, I think, another part of the great thing about the Vagina Varsity is that we're trying to make everyone
get involved in the
conversation.
And so for me, I think that's why, platforms like what we've created and other content creators that are kind of opening these conversations to a bigger audience. And I think that's why the Libresse campaign was really cool. I think at the beginning, getting involved in it, I was definitely nervous. Also because if you
was afraid to say the word vagina.
Because if you watch the series, you'll see that obviously of the two of us, I was the one that was the least what's the words? I was not reluctant to kind of say the things, but like I wasn't as comfortable as Tendi. I think it's important because it's bringing up these conversations that are vital for young girls. Because if you can't get that support from home, you know that the internet is available and people are obviously, I know that the internet is like bombarded with like crazy things. But I think the more people have these types of conversations, the better sort of relationship you start to have either with yourself, with your friends, with your body. And obviously with campaigns like Libresse,
it gives you confidence as well.
Yeah. It also becomes okay for the conversations to not feel like you have to whisper.
Yeah.
Or that you have to have that one best friend to have that conversation with. And it can't be like a group chat. It can't be like in the classroom, actually, let's talk about this thing. My vagina was itching, what am I supposed to do? But obviously it's like, no, you have to be like, oh my God. It's a conversation between me and my doctor, And even then, I think it's the reason why it's also important for us to get in this conversation is that we want to open up the conversation. I think a lot of us are very uncomfortable about a lot of things, and there's too many taboo issues, especially in African culture, that are limiting in terms of what we can and cannot say, and therefore it kind of also steers us can steer us in negative sort of direction in terms of how we then, react or how we view ourselves and how we engage with other people when we get in relationships. We don't even know, and then when we become mothers, we also then start, would be implementing the same things that our mothers are doing to ourselves. So I mean, #IChooseToSee a body positive African girl. So leave us your comments below. Tell us what type of conversations do you wish that you could have had with your parents in relation to body positivity. I know there's a lot of movements that are going on in social media that have already started, and we've not just, like we said, are joining in the conversation through this campaign. And yes, #IChooseToSee. Love you guys.